Well, Ryan, I like themes, and our theme is physical. We have you literally here in my house. Look at this shit. Look at that guy.
It is good to be back, and wow, you have changed a lot of things here. And oh my god, I feel like I'm in a professional studio. I'm not balancing my own laptop on a milk crate trying to jury rig something together.
We got like the lighting that I spent forever like learning the right one for, but like literally just last night I put up artwork on the wall there, so we had something pretty to look at while we're doing this.
Very nice. I gotta say, I'm going to use another term other than jury rigging for my setup, just because it'll make me feel a little bit more impressive, and say I'm MacGyvering things together.
Oh, that is good.
That feels better to me. I feel a little bit more proud of that than.
So since we had physically here, I figured we're going to do like physical this. There's no computer. There's no notes. I got cards. We're just going to go through like this.
Somehow you're doing very impressive technology to show off to me. You're also going old school, no technology.
I'm going to do two things at once.
I like it.
I like that phrase 99% invisible. That the more you make things really well, if you're the master, you can make it all vanish and it doesn't exist anymore. It's just you, me, some cool ideas.
I like it. Let's dive into it then.
All right, we're starting off with the biggest and most important thing. You are fucking out of Minnesota.
Temporarily flying back 6 a.m. tomorrow, but I'm out of Minnesota for right now.
There's a lot of stuff here that connects to like our topics that I really want to talk about. The first thing is I had it on my list to do that I wanted to discuss for today's episode was, your backstory with Cory and the stuff that you guys learned together and learned from each other. And this has worked out perfect. Before you came out here, you went down to Austin to see him.
Yep. So my father was having a work conference down there for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. I was planning to come here to visit friends and family already. He said, "You can't come this weekend. I'm going to be out of town." And I said, "Oh, you're going down to us? That's like a second home for me. Stay a couple extra days. I'll fly down there and meet you. I'll show you around some of my favorite spots. I'll get to hang out with Cory and another friend or two. And I'll just come back with you to Tennessee afterwards." That sounds so much better to me. I'd get to hit two of my favorite places in one trip. This is amazing.
What does your dad do?
So he's kind of like investor relations, public relations kind of for a company here in town just off Maryland Farms called Cryoport. So they do cryogenic shipping for like stem cell therapies.
That's pretty cool.
It's a really cool company and gives him a lot of travel experience, going to different conferences, meeting potential investors, things of that nature.
All right, cool. Well, tell me more about what you did with Cory. Like, did you plan ahead? What did you get up to?
I did basically no planning other than texting him saying, "I'm flying in on this day. Are you free?" Mm-hmm. And he said, "I think so."
It sounds like the amount of planning you need with Cory.
Yep. So then like a day or two before flying down there, I text him again saying, "Hey, just want to double check. Are you still going to be free on this day?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "Cool. Do you want to meet somewhere and I should Uber, or are you able to pick me up from the airport?" And he said, "I'll pick you up." And that is the extent of the planning that I had done. Fly down there. He picks me up. And the first question he asks is, "What is your plan for today?" Mm-hmm. I told him, "I've got basically nothing. I'm free. I just need to get back to the hotel my dad's staying at eventually to sleep." Mm-hmm. And how much time do you have carved out for this? I don't want to overstay my welcome. I don't want to make you chauffeur me around too much. Like, if we're just doing lunch, I'll be happy. And he said, "Nope, that's perfect. You're getting the whole day."
Cool.
Okay, yes, I will happily spend more time with you because you are someone who is smarter than me and I will learn from you.
That 100% every time. And you're like, "Oh my God, you're so much fun. I just like being around you."
We could be doing the most boring thing in the world, and he could be telling me stories about him at Microsoft and him leading people and his management style. And I would be on the edge of my seat trying to take notes.
This is what I'm talking about. We'll come back to that later, but that skill, it's such a huge deal. Love it.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I love going down to Texas is I keep finding people smarter than me like that and meeting people like that and end up going with them somewhere. And because it's Texas, it's an hour drive to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So now they're trapped with me for an hour. And I get to, like to sit there and try and draw stories.
Yeah, you got that Warren Buffett skill where you like let other people talk so you get all the knowledge from them.
That is one of my favorite things to do. So we're just driving down to go to get lunch at a, I guess, Tex-Mex place. It was like Mexican food and Texas barbecue. But just like driving to lunch, it was probably about an hour drive. And if you're stuck with me, I'm going to ask you questions and I'm going to learn from you. And Cory's great because I don't even need to ask questions. He's excited to share them with me. And he's talking about like, my management style is I'm going to ask them where they want to be in 10 years. It doesn't matter if it's not doing anything for me. I'm going to say, okay, in order to do that, think of it like an old video game with a skill tree. You need to spec out into this branch, and this branch to get these, and these skills so that way you can lead people, you have experience hiring and firing people. Well, from now on, you're going to sit in on hiring and firing people with me. You're going to do all this, and this at work with me. And if you ever start slacking off on these, I get to say, hey, are you living up to what you want to do?
Yeah.
And you are much more motivated.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Those are like some hardcore leadership skills right there.
Yeah, that is the Cliff Notes 30-second version of being in the car with them. It is an amazing experience. I know he's not an Uber driver, but if you ever get the chance to just be in a taxi with him, absolutely take it.
Just show up in front of his office with a bottle of whiskey and see what happens.
That has a history of working.
Yeah, he is one of those people that makes me appreciate my newfound ability to shut up and listen now, because there's so much to get out of. Like, you just benefit from him.
But at the same time, he knows how to talk and make friends, which is also an amazing skill.
Dangerous combination if you can do both of those.
He's master at a lot of things. He's a wonderful human being. And so like we go out to Andalusia, which is one of my favorite distilleries down there, and I already wanted to go down to visit them. And he walks in the front door and basically just yells out, "Moose!" And turns out that is their distiller's name. And was on
the guy with the beard?
Yep.
See, you guys look like you matched, so it was good you got your hair cut later.
Yeah, he's got the big beard too, and he plays it off. He's got the energy for it.
He's a
wonderful person as well. Really fun to hang around with and drink with. But it's just immediate. Moose just goes, "All right, well, I know Cory. What do you like to drink? You're into weird shit too? Come with me."
I think I saw him say that.
It was such a fun experience, and it seemed like no matter where we went, that was the relationship he had with people. Was everyone knows him. He's not going to be shy or bashful. He's going to kick open the front door, yell something out, and be friends with people.
Like when I'm at my best, like there's that feeling that you feel like you're the light. You walked in, you made everyone like not like do things or give you, but like they were enjoying what you brought. Cory does that 100% every place.
That's something that I need to get better at. I can absolutely sit down, make friends with someone, get that skill. It's the kicking open the door and having the whole room feel that presence. That is something I cannot do.
It's known how valuable it is to be the grease in the wheels. You're like the lighter fluid. Like you go there and you enhance everybody, and you get everybody else to be better themselves, and the whole environment's better. But yeah, come back to Nashville. I'll teach you the whole kicking down thing. Actually, better. Like sometime when you can budget some time, if we go like a long trip someplace, and it doesn't have to be abroad, someplace in your budget. Like, yeah, I will throw it all at you.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
There's a whole conversation about that.
Not to derail us too much, but I realized just today I am very much not doing that. I'm the opposite of that, to where when I went to Greenbrier, I sat down, ordered a drink at the bar, took a picture, and texted it to the buddy of mine who's the bar manager, front end man, or whatever his position is there. And he just texted me, "Are you here?" Came out, slapped me on the shoulder.
Yeah.
"Man, what are you doing here?" Yeah, that's not who I am. I don't kick open the door. I just sit down. I'm going to be here. And you're going to find out, and you're going to be happy about it later.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to notice me right away.
Well, like, they're actually really important. And the thing that's really special about Cory isn't exactly the thing that you're pointing out. It's the fact that he does both.
He can.
He kicks down the door, and then he makes a bunch of room for everyone to fill it up. It's hard to be good at one, and it's even harder to be good at both. Like, naturally, I'm good at one, and I don't leave any room for everyone else. You leave room for everyone else. So that's the one part that we can both learn from him.
Or we just make a deadly combo is what I'm hearing.
Oh, we do. Like, every time we go out and do something, like, this works so naturally well. Everyone points it out. I try to get feedback on stuff we do together. Like, how about the camera? How about the script? They're like, man, you guys are a freaking good team. Like,
glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Very fortunate that we found this friendship.
Mm-hmm.
That is a damn good whiskey, by the way.
So, in the topic of content creation, it seems like you guys were making stuff.
Yeah, I should have been recording stuff and doing stuff, but I was just too amazed in the moment of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pretty much anywhere we went, Cory would just talk to them and be like, "Yeah, so I mean, we're going to try things anyways. Is it all right if this is on camera?" "Yeah, sure." And he'd run out to his car, had the little lab mics that are much nicer than mine, of course, but I've got a version of all this equipment.
Yeah.
How the hell am I not doing this?
No reason, dude. We're just throwing gear at you. Like, remove any friction. Just go.
God, it was one of those things where I was watching him do this and was right there alongside him, and I was thinking the whole time, I can absolutely do this. I'm not going to right now because I'm just going to enjoy this experience because this is amazing. This man's drilling into a barrel and filling up a glass with whiskey.
Yeah. It's like a dream.
I was like, this is the perfect introduction to coming down to Austin. This is the perfect way to start my trip. I'm not going to worry about recording anything. I'm going to live in this moment and just savor it.
Good. Probably the right choice.
Maybe. Thankfully, Cory was recording, so I think it was. But if I'm back up in Minnesota and it's a distillery I can go to any time or a brewery I can go to any time, there is no excuse for me not to be doing that.
I think there are excuses. There's a different experience when you're just completely in the moment. And for the first time you go, or something really important, you're absorbing more than anyone else. And you really have to. When I had, like, we were talking like about story writing, the best thing I ever got, like, after a long chain of shitty English classes, I had one that was good and I had no business being good, but it was amazing. And they said, we talked to the story, and it's like, there's this old psychological story of how a boy becomes a man. And who cares, like, if it's right or wrong, but this is a really useful thing to talk about. And they all say the same thing, that you have to go to the place you're supposed to be completely overwhelmed by it, fuck up half of it. But that was the exact right thing to do because you got exposed to every part of it. And then when you come back to it later, then you can make the video, then you can record it, then you can, like, fight the dragon or do whatever else. But if you were trying to fumble with your phone the first time, you still have to redo the first time.
That's very true. I like that. Gives me a good excuse not to have done that too much yet. But places where I've already been in there a time or two, I should absolutely be making these relationships, grabbing a camera and just doing shit.
Yeah. Like, full on, what I'm going to be asking you about in June is about vlogging and stuff like that. And it's a different skill set, but man, we're starting to both see how powerful that will be to have.
I mean, me sitting at home on my couch talking about whiskey.
Yeah.
I can maybe do a decent job at it. And there's some people who can absolutely build an audience doing it. But when you're going out there doing things, it feeds off that want to get out, adventure, experience new things that so many people like you and I want to experience. We want to be doing that ourselves and get a little through that person on the other side of the camera.
Yeah. There's something I'm trying to get to again later in the episode, but there's creating, like removing friction so you can create, but there's also creating during friction. And I've run into this multiple times in my life where like there's a great adventure I'm going to go on. I'm like, man, I want to document this. Before the internet existed, I was trying to do in cuneiform tablets, but the whole same thing happened every time where there's so much to do and I'm just struggling to keep up with. I don't have time to spend, 3 hours this evening to learn how to like write a blog, and then another hour to write my blog, and then another hour to learn how to write anything. But there has to be this magical middle ground where you actually can record something and learn through the process, because like these adventures are pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing. There's so many amazing experiences out there. And as much as I want to be selfish and save them all for myself and savor them, I think it's also selfish of me to want to record all of them and be able to revisit them and watch them again myself.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I love how you always bring a completely extra perspective that I didn't think existed, because my question was versus wanting to share that with the audience for what, but you're like, no, like you see it yourself again in the future.
Don't get me wrong. I want an audience. I want as many people watching as possible. I'd love to make a career out of it. But at the end of the day, if it's something that I can have for myself and rewatch and be happy about and reminisce about later on, that's good enough of a reason for me to do
it. I'm valuing that more and more lately. It's hard to really put into words, but like when my brother visited, and I'm not as good at having people around long term. I'm really used to having my space, so I'm like, I'm glad to have him around, but like a lot of times, I'm like, yeah, man, I just want to have 24 hours completely by myself, and I don't know how to. I don't do that skill that very much, But afterwards, looking back, like, man, the memories make me so freaking happy. I was texting like, you remember we like rode those stupid scooters down this street? Like, it was fun at the time, but the memory of it after is so much fun. Where I think that idea of recording it for yourself, I think that's a really big deal.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% think that is something that's going to motivate me more than wanting to grow an audience. Is being able to capture those memories and hold on to them much better than just trying to remember them up here. Because I can promise you, this is stupid and going to get it wrong.
Yeah, this is great. I'm looking forward to seeing more about that. That will obviously be the fastest way to learn, because if you're making things for yourself, that's the audience you know the most. You're going to be the most motivated, and you actually do more. Like, I get stuck on a lot of things because I get between, I need to take this good idea. Well, that's not enough. I need to make a good thumbnail, and I have to find a way to relate it to a demographic, and I don't know any demographics, so I need to do market research, and then nothing ever gets made. But if it's just sitting there like, fuck it, this is for me. Like, when I sit down and make a video that I liked, and I'm proud of how good it was, that's something I can right now.
So I wasn't going to share this because I told you, or you told me what we're doing next time we record and going into the script analysis, but we're on camera now, so it'll be worthy of sharing it now, not just on the couch catching up with friends. When I wanted to first make my podcast, it wasn't because I want to share this with the world. It wasn't because I want to create something. It wasn't for any of that reason. It was purely, I want to listen to this show. I can't find this show. There's so many great stories out there, and I want to experience them in this format, this way. The only way I'm ever going to get to do that is if I make it.
You have to make the one.
I have to make the thing that I want. Otherwise, no one's going to do it for me. I have to just make it. And if I want to see this, hopefully other people do too.
That's actually exactly the right spot to be, where you're the leader. Like, this is something that means something to me, which means it means something to other people, but no one's gotten around to it yet. So I can be the one who adds it, and you can be the expert on it.
Fingers crossed, either that, or if someone wants to take the idea from me, do it a million times better, and I get to listen to them, I'll be happy too. I'll figure something new out.
I'm just telling you, dude, how many times did I tell you, like, Ryan, this is culturally significant. Your podcast isn't just fun or good. It's actually valuable to our culture.
I don't know about valuable to the
I'm
culture.
never wrong.
I can't argue with you. You're always right.
I like that.
That's still the biggest motivation to me. It doesn't matter if a story is as exciting as a Pirate in the Caribbean or Polar Expedition. It's, well, this is a story I like, and I want to tell it, damn it.
Yeah. And that gets me in again. What do they always say? Who is the person who wins in the business? The person who learns the fastest? The person who had the most money for startup? It's the person who never stops. And if you're doing the stuff that you like, you're going to stick longer than anyone else.
I hope so. I heard something the other day, and I might have mentioned this to you already. I can't keep anything straight anymore.
You've been drinking for 5 days straight.
Oh, my Lord. Yes, I have. But did you ever watch the TV show? It was called, like, River Monsters. It was a guy who was just traveling across the world trying to fish every giant, crazy fish you could find.
Is this a Minnesota thing?
Nope, this was like a Discovery Channel big show. Went on for many, many seasons. I never really got into watching it myself. It was something I'd always see, like, flipping through channels as a kid. Well, I found out a little while ago, actually, that the only reason why the show got discontinued was he ran out of fish to go and try.
He got them all?
He got them all.
He is a fucking Pokemon master.
So where he ran out of things to be able to make because he ran out of fish to try and catch. Other than going down, like, the Marianas Trench and try and find something scientists don't even have a name for, he caught everything. So there is a possibility that in 10, 20 years, I'll have hit every bottle of whiskey. And now I'm just stuck. An alcoholic and half drunk and out of stories to tell.
No, I have no worry about that.
There's always new
am
ones
learning so much.
written.
No, like the variation on the existing stories. That was my victim. Like, part of the reason why, like, I realize why I struggle so much at writing stories and getting started is because my bread and butter has been the theme and variations. I started with classical music. That was my first art career. That was my first career.
Sure.
And it was all about, here's like this thing that has been handed down for 300 or 400 years. Here's this guy's variety, that variety, and variety. And when I get presented with a good idea, I see so many variations I could make that I can't pick one to actually put pen to paper. So I'm learning how to merge those two together now, but I'm coming from this side. So if you ever get to the point where you feel like, there's stuff I like, but I'm running out of like options, I will be able to generate infinite variety in that. Like, okay, have you thought of like taking that same thing and redoing it this way? So
I did cheat a little bit with choosing the name for my show and not making it directly whiskey, making it just spirits. That way, if I do ever run out of spirits, whiskey stories, I can switch to tequila, I can switch to gin, rum, whatever's the big topic even. I mean, if whiskey all of a sudden loses interest in the public eye and rum becomes the new thing, I can absolutely pivot and tell more rum stories.
Rum is acceptable.
As long as we don't go into another prohibition, I think I'll be okay.
All right, let's move on to the next card.
Yes.
So I wanted to hear more about the backstory of, like, you know, how you and Cory met each other, what you learned from each other, because you both, like, I want to dive more into your unspoken and even maybe to you unaware education in writing and content creation. And you two met each other at...
It was Brushwood's camp course, I don't know what you want to call it, on content creation and storytelling, and it was a very interesting, I think 2, maybe 3 day almost seminar where you sit down in his warehouse headquarters. And he's got a whiteboard, he's got projector, he's just opening up cans of Coke left and right, chugging them, drawing on the board, his madman style. And it was definitely like watching Albert Einstein try and explain physics to someone who does not know physics. And it's just going, okay, how can I dumb this down? And it all makes sense to me, but I'm thinking at it from a whole nother dimension than you'll ever be able to picture. That was the amount of talent that I could see and the amount of understanding, but trying to have him make it so comprehensive was difficult, and I could see the passion and the energy in him trying to restrain it and reel it back in to be able to capture it and show it to us. It was such an interesting course. But enough of me blabbering about him. We're trying to talk about Cory.
No, I'm trying to talk about you and the knowledge that you had.
The knowledge I already had going into it.
That you got from it.
That I got from it.
That you have been low-key bullshitting me for months not having when you've already had formal training and so much cool stuff from actual professionals. None of the people I'm paying money to learn from have been on Discovery Channel.
So, one of the reasons why, and I've told you this before, so you cannot tell me I'm bullshitting you. One of the reasons why Brushwood was kind of an inspiration to me, even from, I first started watching his videos, I think when I was in high school, maybe freshman year of college, was his story of his journey and how he got there, and building on self-made blocks that are absolutely made out of cardboard and hollow, but the person who's adding the next block doesn't need to know that.
Mm.
And then it's just more impressive, more impressive, more impressive. So, like, one of the things he did to get on Discovery was he wrote a book, self-published it, and printed out, I forget how many copies, basically gave them out on the street, and then said, yep, we sold out. I am now a sold-out book author.
Made it true. Didn't have to lie.
Absolutely true. It looks damn impressive on a resume.
So you can tell me about any of the things that you learned in that weekend.
It was a lot of, here's just really good advice for content creation. I'd have a notebook back at home that I can absolutely grab, and we can dive into that another time.
Love to do that sometime.
But to give you two of the most practical things that I think I learned there. The first was talking about the importance of a hook and not just having one, but having three. One at like 5 seconds. You have another hook by, I think it was like 12, and then one at like 30.
I remember you telling me that multiple times. And the fact that you were so specific about exactly how many seconds to do this at was a little suspicious for a guy who had just launched his first podcast and working in a bar.
Yep.
But I just rolled with it.
That was all him, and I absolutely followed that to a T on the first episode. I've fallen out of that exact. Go back to my notes, get that again, and actually stick to it a little bit better. But I've been a little more relaxed on that one. The other thing that he made me realize was okay was accepting people's money, time, effort, whatever he wants to be. Thinking of it less as trying to build something and more of like farming, where you've got a crop planted in the ground, you're watering it, taking care of it, it grows. Well, it's not going to keep growing and growing and growing, and it's not Jack and the Giant Beanstalk. You have to harvest it, use that to get more equipment, more tools, more seeds, and then you can plant more and grow more. You have to keep that cycle going.
Metaphor.
It's, he said it's not only the right thing to do, but it's your responsibility to harvest it and put that back into it.
I see a lot of the stuff you put into your writing and your creating and you're getting out there. Have you done anything in the realm of growing and harvesting?
So growing, I think of as just creating content, trying to do something, bring more people in. The harvesting is trying to get people to sign up to the email list, trying to harvest their time, get them to tell friends about it. I'm not trying to harvest money right now. I'm trying to harvest other resources, other things that are a little bit easier for people to want to give and use that to help build the audience up more.
I like the email list. That is the top list of things that I want to imitate that you're doing.
To be honest, I haven't been that successful with it. It's a very small email list, but I'm going to keep having fun and sending them out.
Yeah. There's also the underground stuff of like the experience and skills. I wanted to start doing a weekly Monday, just like, here's like my big thoughts. It'll be quicker, better ROI than doing a whole podcast episode or making an entire YouTube video myself. And it will focus on only one thing, writing skills. And I keep coming back to that is not just a thing that I am the worst at. It is the most important thing. It is a thing that I want to be the best at, which is why I've saved it for last.
That's another one of the reasons why I'm going to keep doing the email list, even if it doesn't have many people on it right now, is I want to find my voice that works best on it. I want to find it's not going to be the same voice that's on the podcast. It's not going to be the same writing style because it's a completely different format. And for the longest time, it was that same style. But I think you even noticed and told me I love the new emails. I love the one where it was, what did I even do? Where it was like powers in the James Bond logo or something. Barrel of the gun, yeah.
Yep.
Or the Captain Morgan picture I did of myself.
Yeah.
Just having a little more fun with it, finding that voice, getting a little more silly on it.
And this is the thing, like, you can measure things by how much content you created. You can measure things by how much money you've been paid for it, your audience or whatever. The stuff, like, I'm learning this full time. I see so much. Your stuff in your email is the best copyright that I see all week.
Well, I appreciate that, and we'll need to start doing more emails again. It sort of died off with the end of season 2.
It's definitely something that I want to learn more. Like, that is the thing, like, you know, when I have a chance to actually get drunk, instead of, like, you know, you get drunk, start like shit talking people online. It's not like, oh, you don't look good, or like, I just shit talk marketing. Like, this is the worst copywriting. Are you even understanding your market? Like, what are you even trying? This is what the board, like, and you're like, man, how are these people getting paid 6 figures, not doing what you do?
I remember you sending me the video of the truck company with it's the same truck you have, right? Where the ad was just, so bad.
Like, I guess that goes what we were talking before the podcast. That, you know, the emotional arc, I can see where they're getting at, but there is no hook that makes it. You are not reaching that shore.
The only hook that video had was you telling me this is so bad you need to watch it.
Yeah, I know.
That was the only thing that kept me there.
I hate it because
that's a damn good hook. Don't get me wrong.
It's so bad it makes me not like I love my truck. But man, it's like, I'm wearing a military uniform and I'm talking like this, and we're saying the mission must go on. That does not connect to. That's not enough to connect to people who care about the military or have a lot of really busy, you know, missions they have to do in life. You're like, it was the most shallow. Anyway, we don't do shit on that.
Yep. No, that's
okay. Can you give me one more thing that you learned from the class, or any memorable experience?
The most memorable experience was being in a room full of people who want to get into content creation. And just, you can tell they all paid to be there, but you can tell which ones actually cared about being there and were invested more than just their money. There's a level of caring and doing things, but it's kind of passive, just, I'll do this in my free time. And then there's I'm going to go out of my fucking way to do this. And that's the ones who are always asking questions. And I would not shut the fuck up unless someone else was smarter than me was talking. So, like, didn't matter if Cory was driving a minivan with 8 of us in the back of it to and from the hotel. I was talking to him the whole time, asking him the dumbest questions because I wanted answers.
Yeah, high five on that. Like, it wasn't like a television star, but that one, like, videography course I got into, they had, like, office hours every Tuesday. It's like, Ethan's basically the celebrity because he doesn't ever shuts the fuck up. Like, yeah, I really want to know everything that you know because I can tell you know a lot.
Absolutely. That's the best thing to do is just keep asking questions. And to be honest, I was a little surprised by this, but talking with Cory while I was down there, I asked him, by the way, do you keep up with any of the other guys from the class? Because he had pulled out the class photo before when we were on the Zoom call. He goes, no, actually, you're the only one. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't really talk to any of them either. I should probably reach out, but man, I am so happy I asked you questions because otherwise I would not have that resource either.
Yeah.
You would not have been able to tell the difference from me versus any of the other guys in that class.
I think there's this dimension, man, where we can look at like how far we are along the path. Like, oh, they're super advanced, they know a lot, they've got this accomplished. But there's the other metric, man, of are you even on the same path? And, 20 people in that class, like you really probably were on the most of the same path as Cory.
I hope so, because he is on a hell of a path.
Yeah, so much cool stuff. But I'm seeing that, and I was thinking that to myself today, that I'm trying to get better metrics of what I should be pushing on instead of just learn, develop, whatever. Like it needs to happen in the outside world.
For sure.
And my number one thing now is how many people I talk to, like actually talk to. And I think it comes down to that, where when you are really on the same path, it bridges the distance so much that the person who's way behind you that doesn't know anything, you can learn a lot from them just because you're exactly on the same path. And when you run someone who is the freaking genius, who knows everything or could even give you the next opportunity, they'll like feel like you're as a buddy and talk to you like an equal because they can tell you. My company that I work at right now, there's this lady we hired, and like she's doing great. Of course, like there's no surprise. Like when we interviewed him, the company wouldn't hire her because we blah 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 blah. I was like, you are so much exactly how I was when I first started off. Like I know you're gonna kick ass. I know what you're gonna do. You're like the exact same path, And every step of the way, like now that we finally did hire, like she's totally doing all that stuff. You're like, yeah. Like I could talk to another senior engineer and feel more of a gap and more difficulty like communicating this stuff. So it'd be harder for me to invest my time in that than talking to someone like her.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, I think talking with someone who is further back on the path is almost just as interesting as talking to the total genius. Because now you're thinking, oh yeah, this is what I did when I was at that step. Why did I stop doing this? Or why did I start doing this? Now I know the reason behind it, but I never thought and put the two together.
For me, just talking to other people in the same path, it helped me see what that path is. Even if they're behind me, I know that my next step way better from that. So, I mean, yeah, that's a big deal for me. So, we're down another step before that. So, why would somebody think, oh, a content creation class with Brian Brushwood that I have to pay money for and spend my weekend? What kind of weird person would do that? Somebody. So the question is like, why? Somebody who has already been taking classes on copywriting and marketing, understanding an audience, that was sort of snuck into you.
It was technically a part of the whiskey school. They are a marketing and advertising school, and they always do some writing. And the first time that I was in the writing portion, I got cursed at and told, no, that's bad. And that was about the extent of the feedback, let's call it, that I got from it. And just hearing him read off and everything, the first time I was like, I don't really get it. I get this is better. I don't understand it, though. The second time, it was like, oh, yeah, I can see that. That is absolutely better than whatever the fuck I was doing. And I can see and feel a difference in all this writing. And then the third time around, it was, wait, I can actually kind of do this now. I can emulate that style. No, it's not my own, but I can follow along with it. And now it's, okay, what he's doing is absolutely great for writing ads and everything, but those are like 30 seconds. And if I'm recording something using my own voice that's going to be 15 minutes to half an hour long, I am not going to pretend to be someone I'm not for that long. So how can I make my own writing be better, but still me?
So in a lot of ways, you're kind of just forced to do the reps, but you kind of had to invent it yourself.
It's kind of where I'm at now and still trying to reinvent the wheel. And honestly, as I keep going on and on, I find myself getting closer to what he was having me practice. So I could have absolutely just stopped writing my voice and just made that voice. That probably would have been a lot easier, but I wouldn't have felt as authentic.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. I don't know how a good metaphor to explain this yet, but there is a thing where the shortest path for a heat-seeking missile is a curve. It can't be a straight line. So if you tried to straight line it, you would miss a whole lot of things and you'd end up at a dead end. But if you followed this path and it looked like it's like a long detour and you should have taken like a straight path that would have been better, this curve is actually the optimal best path.
Interesting. I like that metaphor because that absolutely feels true.
Yeah. So neat. Someday we'll have to go back on other stuff before that. So you didn't get like a lot of formal learning from Attic, but you did have practice. One of the things I love about this art is so much, if you just freaking put on your big boy pants and do it, you look at it, you immediately feel a reaction. That was bad, this was good, and you have a direction. You can sort of teach yourself as long as you keep putting in the time. And this was some extra hours you got put in when you were there. But there's also how and why did you end up there, which is a unique thing about you. We'll save that for another time. Because we're going to do, like Toby Keith says, we're going to talk about me. We're going to talk about We're going to talk about me, oh my, oh number one.
That one still hurts that he's gone, man. Loved him.
And it's why I won't go back to Grandpa Bar anymore.
Really?
Yeah, like they had to follow their own marketing path, and it's gotten to like it's a different culture that I don't enjoy. And it's the opposite of what they had started off with. But like I'm there and it's literally 2 days after that, and this lady's like making cracks about Toby Keith. I'm like, we're supposed to pay money for that? Like, I'm out. I'm done. This is not okay.
Anyways, on to you.
So I want to talk a little about our favorite segment, the content that was created. And I'm going to go first. I don't have much because I've been spending so much time like my other project, which I think was a good decision. Pick the things that have a end date. Like if I do this, it never has to be done again. It's a big thing, but that'll be done soon, and now I can spend a lot more time on content.
And it's going to enable you to do so much more content too in the future.
Yes. It hurts my soul. 2 months, not really made anything. But one thing got made, and I think it's kind of beautiful how it got made. So, story time. I watched the movie La La Land for studying color theory and lighting. That was a big thing I've been trying to get the next step on. And it was great for that. But holy crap, it blew my freaking brain out of my heads, out the left ear and into the wall. The plot of the story is a lot of things, but it's about, chasing the dream of becoming a musician in LA, which
hits home.
Yeah, really hard. On top of just like that's a really important topic for our, what we're here right now. I've actually never had any story like a book or a movie or anything put me so much in my own past before. Or it took me like 3 days to like slap myself back into the present. We're like, man, it's impressive. It was awesome. Learned so much from that. And I'm going to make some content about that topic because there was a lot of learning, which is relevant for us. But to slap myself back into the present, like I have a little experience. I know this stuff a little bit. You can't really feel home as much until you've had a chance to go away. Like when you come back home, that's when you really, really feel it. So I went and I got myself a hotel in Nashville. Like one of the dumbest ways to waste money, $200 just to get a hotel in a town when I already have a house, which is a nice house right here.
It's a nice house.
But the only way I could feel now was me to go someplace else and come back. And it was a great spot. Oh my gosh, it was a good hotel. But I got there, and just like always, Nashville starts working its magic. I brought my camera with me, and I had a couple techniques for interior architecture, photography, and videography that I wanted to practice and learn. And I'm doing it. There's a guy playing in the bar. Because, of course, we can't have 2 square centimeters without having a country musician.
Naturally.
Dude's good. Is this guy, Robbie Anderson. And I'm doing this, whatever. And anyway, the bartender starts talking to me because he knows the guy, of course. He says, yeah, like that, like, get some good shots for me. Like, he's like, trying to get things taken off, and he's been telling me he's trying to get like somebody to do headshots for him so he can like do stuff for his media. I'm like, oh fuck, like this is a perfect opportunity.
Well, now I have a goal. Absolutely.
I was definitely in me like the bartender was trying very, very effectively to hook me up with some girls in the bar. Like one of the best wingmans I've ever met in my life. I felt terrible. Like, no, I specifically came here to like have a date with an old memory. Like, I want to think about my time with playing guitar. And it was really important to spend time thinking about that. So like, no, I'm not taking photos of the guy. I'm not talking to the girls. I'm sitting here, and it was very productive for me to do that. But yeah, I got some stuff just through the process of the other photos I was taking, and edited those up and put some things together in a video clip and sent them off to him. And just like some other stuff we were talking about, I think I could probably say, hey, so if you like this, maybe I could do some stuff for you professionally. You're new, I'm new. I could maybe, make something like entry level at an entry level cost, get some experience, get something in my portfolio. Like it's the only time I've gone out for fun. It's the only time I've left my house in maybe 6 months. Oh. And immediately it's like, would you like to work in content creation?
Never ends. I swear to God, the only way to not have something to create is if you're at home.
But it's wonderful that it's gone from, oh, there's a beautiful sunset that'll be great to make. It's like the job opportunities are coming for you.
That's fantastic, man. I look so much forward to seeing your success grow.
Yeah, thank you. Later I'll show you what I actually made. It's small, but I think you'll appreciate it. But, like if I could actually figure out how to talk to another person about, like, well, how about for this rate? So that was my thing.
Very nice. I look forward to seeing it.
That's my creation. How about you?
So I don't know that I've really created anything since the last time we talked. I might have made 1 or 2 small videos, but I have just traveled this last week and enjoyed the moment and been in Cory's content creation.
Yeah.
Which was really fun, and I was not fully expecting, but man, I just missed being around people that are passionate about whiskey, rum, alcohol in general, and content. Let's make something. Let's share this to the world because this is amazing and we shouldn't hog it to ourselves. I am not selfish enough to keep this to ourselves. It's not I want chasing fame. It's that I am not selfish enough to hog all of this.
I would be excited to have somebody to hang out with who's just making videos so we could talk about lighting or script writing or thumbnails, even if their topic was something completely boring to me. But Cory is also interested in the topic we both like.
I know. It's fantastic. It's at some point I hope to find an excuse to go back and have him invite me onto the show, or I'm going to invite myself onto the show because that just seems so much fun to me.
Nice. Yeah. I like that stuff.
Great time and great people.
All right. So next I want to move on to friction-free speaking. So there is a certain amount of when you're going to tell a story or talk or make a video, you have to remove as many roadblocks. It's not just, like building a space shuttle where if you have to go slower, it's still going to get built. It's like flying the actual plane where if you go so slow, eventually you will land. There's people in the entire industry that I didn't understand what they did, and their job was really to remove all the friction to the point where it seemed insignificant that level of friction removing would matter. but it would make the people who are in the room creating be able to make so much better stuff that has made a monetarily valuable difference. And I realize that's what I've been doing more and more. I've been trying to learn all these things so I'm not held back. Like, I can't edit this, or I don't do this, or it's going to take me 3 days. I want to learn all that. Or the last couple of months, like putting together like the network storage and getting the desk set up so it's just easy to sit down immediately. There is that side of it where it really feels like it might be different. So I'm going to like explain this, but I want to get your perspective on how it's worked for you, because I think it might be different. For me, it's felt like this is like trying to talk to somebody in German. It's not a matter of, well, it's hard, but just go do it. Don't be like scared or waiting for the perfect moment. Just go start talking to people right now. Like, no, like you can't. You know 3 words, or you know 100 words, but you can't connect them together in less than a minute. Like, to have a conversation, you need to have all the friction removed where things are connected fluidly. And then you can actually start making the story come out, the conversation come out. And that's the path that I've been taking for over a year, working really hard, learning so much to try and get it. So like now it's this polished thing. Like, I know how to do all the pieces. I have all the gear ready. I can sit down. And the only thing there is the ideas, the story, the script. And that's the way I needed to get.
I'm sitting over here chuckling because I did the exact opposite and have been speaking broken English this whole time.
How the heck do you do that?
Great question. Wish I knew. It's probably not the best system, but it's mine. I literally, for recording these normally, have to grab a small end table from my living room, bring it into the bedroom, all while trying to keep a cat and a dog out of the bedroom so I'm trying to record. Grab a milk crate, bring that into the bedroom, set that up on the table, balance my laptop on that, have my cord for my laptop, because it's a little old, plugged in, plug in a microphone, make sure that's set up. I am trying to do way too much to get this all set up just for this phone call. It is not a frictionless system, to say the least. And then at the end, I take it all apart and put everything back and have to do it again next time.
So I hope you forgive me for this, but I want to slice this into a 2-part and put 1 part just for like another week that we talk.
Okay.
I'm going to take gear completely out of this because I feel like it's so much of a lightning rod. It gets attention that matters. Absolutely. I think it's more than it needs. So forget like having this set up or the milk crate or putting this, like the friction of, do I know what to write? Do I have a topic I'm interested in? Do I know how to say something?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Everything except the physical objects. The skill, the you.
The writing part is something that comes fairly easy to me at this point. As long as I know the topic. For a lot of these things, by the time I sit down and write them, it is almost an intimate relationship I have with the topic. Like, if I'm just writing a short 30, 60-second video script for saying, oh yeah, you could buy Lefroy during Prohibition. Mm-hmm. I know that story well enough. I could have written what's on their website talking about it. That's something that's cool very, very... I probably wrote half of what's on their website just from memory accidentally, because I've read it enough times. That's not me trying to show off. That's me just saying, I dived into research for this specific topic. Most of the time, I'll write too much and have to edit it back down. That's not the hard part. The most friction for me that is the part that I like to do and I absolutely will work on. It's, if I'm recording the 60-second video, I can't have that pulled up looking at my phone while also recording it on my phone. Mm-hmm. So now my script that I wrote that I want to stick to, I'm trying to half memorize and it's not right. I'm looking off to the corner trying to remember and it doesn't come off the same.
Yeah.
So I am accidentally making more friction for myself rather than just pulling out my phone and rather than writing it down, just recording directly into it.
That part, it's complete big deal. But I'm so glad you actually started explaining the other part of it. Like, I want to ask a little bit more about that. The writing skill will say, okay, that's the journey you have to go on. You've gotten there.
Still
but the
on
research, how much research do you? I mean, one, it's hard to learn how to do research, but assuming you even have that, like, how do you research your topic, and how much time do you invest? Do you feel like I've done enough? Because I could feel like a lot of stuff I'm doing, like your research or my skill development. Well, why are you taking so long? Like, it needs to be ready before you're doing it. Like, how do you know when you've done enough research? Do you ever feel like you're delaying, that you should have just started writing it sooner, or you're researching too much?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that song.
There's the first one that I did on Shackleton. I absolutely over-researched. I read, I think, 2, maybe 3 books. I watched at least 2 movies on him. I read through his Wikipedia page. I read through every link on his Wikipedia page. I read through every link on those Wikipedia pages.
Respect, man.
It wasn't just, I'm going to learn about Shackleton. It's, okay, he was on the Endurance, he was on the Nimrod. I'm going to read those Wikipedia pages. Okay, this was his captain on the Nimrod. I'm going to read about him. I absolutely learned too much about that one, and it will forever hold a very special place in my heart because of that. But then trying to learn about other stories in Taketsuru, absolutely researched the hell out of him, and that was one where I thought I had enough research, started writing it, and then started writing, and I was like, oh, I want to know what this detail would be. It would fit in so nicely here. What was like the timeline? And I was like, okay, that's a simple fact. I'll just try and find it. Couldn't find it like his Wikipedia. Couldn't find it on the 1 or 2 places I already looked. Looked at a new website, and it was his diary from his 3 years in Japan, or in Scotland, translated into English. Okay, I'm reading all of this now, because how did I not find this before? So I've been on both ends of that spectrum. As far as knowing you have enough, there is no way to know that until you sit down and start writing it. And you will go, oh, I'm writing this, and I don't know what happens next. I don't know the order. I don't know what they were feeling. Let's go find that out. So I would say start out with less than you think you need.
Okay.
And if you can write it all from that, great. If you need more, you can find more research. It's a lot harder to go spend 100 hours researching something and realizing you only really needed 20.
So the way to know you're not procrastinating would be to get a good research, but then start before you have enough, and then research additionally as needed as you go.
That would be my rule of thumb. On the other side, though, there's one that I'm starting to research for season 3. I'll drop it. Why not? Rough Riders. With, our former president. That is something that is very interesting to me, and I'm going to enjoy researching it. And you aren't going to have to twist my arm to read through things.
Yeah.
Like, I've already listened to a podcast or 2 on it. There's a movie on the Rough Riders that I plan to watch. I'm going to enjoy that, and I'm going to over-research it just because I want to.
Yeah. That's something that we should just turn into a road trip. Let's go to the sites, dude.
And some of them are out of country, so that's... Like, they were down... I'll get it wrong. Let's not get into that. I haven't done enough research yet on that one.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you about, get your freaking passport, because this weekend I hung out with some friends, and neither one of them had their passport, and I felt dirty being around.
I've got one.
Good.
It might expire soon, but I'll get it renewed, reinstated, renewed, I think is the right word.
All right. That was awesome. Good. So just wrap that up. I think this is an important topic that I'm going to dive into more because I don't have clear answers, and you added a lot of good new perspective on that. I had to actually put that on my bullet list. I have a lot of North Stars that guide me on what I'm doing. And one I put in was, what have you done this week to create content through friction? I think getting the runway set is important, but I think after a certain point, you're actively looking for things to do when the runway wasn't clear.
I like that. I haven't done, again, really any content creation. I've just been a part, thankfully, of Cory's. And very gracious, grateful, not gracious, to have been there and got to be a part of that. I didn't really contribute as much until we were drinking the mead, but that was still just such a fun day and fun experience. And great to see him do it because I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, it's
I
not
learned how simple it should be.
so many things. It's not what you do, it's how you did it. And you can't explain that in words. So getting to watch him, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, even just sitting down and talking with them at lunch, it was, yeah, I've got all these nice cameras, but even for my clients, if I went out and recorded with this nice camera, if their ad pops up on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and it's too high of quality, people will just notice an ad and swipe off without ever giving it a chance.
Yeah.
You need to be recording on the same thing that people on that platform are using.
Mm-hmm. So once I'm going to go back to the last episode before I go to Europe, I'm going to be talking a lot about vlogging and recording your phone. And that's going to be a thing. Like, I feel like I'm getting more of an emotional connection with my camera. But I'm going to actually try to bring myself to leave it here and do everything on my phone and learn what you can from that.
I would say phone for most things, bring that for B-roll.
Yeah, I got time to decide. We'll talk more about this. So next, there's some more things that I worked on that I want to share. This one will apply a lot to you, and it'll apply a lot. So now I've been looking at this thing called ultra speaking. I really care a lot about how we speak, the level of presentation. You know, to me, I feel like that matters to me even more than the number of pixels in your camera or the lens you have. You know, we keep saying video is important, but if your sound is bad, people just won't listen to it. And I think you could have a perfect mic, but if you're a bad speaker, it's just not going to go. And I see the reverse where someone will be talking about a really boring topic. It's important. Like, you know, you're learning some important knowledge, or it's like, but they can make that boring thing still seem interesting and engaging. Like, it's a freaking magic. And that takes this knowledge. It might be isolated in this corner forever, and now makes it so like millions of people start learning it and like having that in their lives, and people around them benefit from that too. Like, that's really exciting. The thing I started on last year was basically for keynotes. It's the only thing I'd ever like been trained on. So this is so great. I'm learning a whole lot, but I didn't really realize until maybe 6 months into it. This is for when you go on a stage with a written thing and talking to people for an hour. I'm getting down the queue of things I'm learning from that YouTube course, and this is one of them. It is for the Cory style of speaking. There is mastering speaking from a script. I'm still going to say you need to master everything eventually, but it is way more bang for the buck in the beginning to be a really good improv speaker.
Absolutely.
This program is specifically for mastering improv speaking.
I need to be doing that one with you.
I can get you a code for it for the first month. It is so freaking good. This is something that people don't talk about. Like, if you mention like TED Talks, like, I know about that. Getting good at TED Talks. Getting good at TED Talks is something I know about. But everything the guy talks about, well, here's a skill you're going to need. I've never freaking heard of that. Here's another thing you need. Like, never heard everything. But when you point it out, it's so obvious this makes sense. I would like to look through this. There's some of these would actually you benefit from having a partner when you're doing as well. But let me just give you like a little bit of overview. 3 things you run through. There'll be an exercise, and it's giving you like, you know, a new topic. You get a title, and then you're going to go speak on that title for 60 seconds. And every 5 seconds, it gives you like a new thing that you have to add into it. And the whole point is that it's impossible. It's supposed to be impossible. The skill you're supposed to practice is you are going to train how to sound like you are comfortable and know what the hell you're saying, even when you don't. So if you're in the middle of a discussion, or you're ad-libbing a script, or you're on a podcast or whatever, and you get to a part where like, oh, I have really just made a mistake there. You're still like, It will make it better. It's not going to fix the logic flaw you had or the mistake you made. But if you have that, well, I guess it will make it way worse. So you're like, okay, you get that first level of, we're all just going to feel good about it. You have that emotional tone that this is good, no matter what came out. Then goes the next, like, okay, now we're actually going to try and start spitting things out that are connected. And they have all these different drills that master it and like different things. Like, these are brilliant. These are great. And it relates a lot to that thing that was in the keynote class of, here's how to take a really good story that you like, that's polished and mastered, and how to connect to any topic so you can use this relevantly. You basically just master that skill at hyperdrive. They focus on this like crazy. So you can get to that. Someone else in the discussion mentioned something. I actually can connect to that. I can relate to that. Or all these other things. And then you get to the third part of, okay, I can actually weld this together. Where you watch like the people who practice a whole lot, and like, I have never seen any of this stuff. I didn't know about the topic before. I did not know any of the ideas you're gonna make me jump through, but I have found meaningful ways to connect them through. So this actually, it's not like I just didn't slow down. That added momentum to what I was trying to get at. And
Interesting.
It's a skill you can do. And it's a skill that after you spend, maybe it takes you like 50 hours to develop this skill, you can write a script in 30 seconds. Give me the idea. Bam, 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 bam. 20-minute script. Oh, did you want a 5-minute version? Bam, 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 done. Like, you just have infinite content creation at a high level. You can basically
I'm gonna need a link to this.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it. I'm super excited about it.
That can be an episode in itself, I can already tell.
Love it. I believe that keynotes exist for a reason. I think there's going to be a ceiling to this, which is like around 8 out of 10. So if you need to get to 10 out of 10, you got to go that route. But this, like, if you do this, and you can do it in like a couple months, you get to the point where I can just generate infinite things for free so fast and pump out content that's really good. 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10. We're doing this. That sounds great.
Does sound like a great, even just return on time investment for it is fantastic.
I was hoping you'd like that. So we'll look at that a little bit. I had a good wrap up hook. Give me 1 second. We'll move on. Last thing is, I think there is a value of both powering through friction and removing friction when you can. I come back to everything. You got to be hitting all fronts. There's no A or B. The answer is always both when it comes to content creation. I've been doing a daily log for about 5-6 months now.
Oh, wow.
And the thing I've added this year was every month end, I do a review of the previous month. And so much good stuff has come out of that. And I want to just hammer with you how big of a deal that's been for me. This month, I was going through it. I could see clearly, because I had this constant feeling of like, man, this freaking sucks. I kind of hate myself for not making anything. And I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I must be slacking or lazy or making a mistake. And looking through, I spent 2 months putting together that project that needs to be done. That was the right choice to make. I have other databases of deciding that, yep, that was absolutely the right, most important thing to do, and to do it, good. I can feel better about it now. But also I can see from it, this particular month, looking at the log from May, I see all the things coming up, and I have the quote unquote big why. Why am I working on this? What do I want out of it? And it evolves over time. You don't really understand what you want to do or what you have to use your voice to learn. Sure. And doing the month review makes that much more easy. If you feel like today, it's the end of May, it's early June. Oh, what have I learned? How do I feel? And what perspective I have? I got a sense of it, but you look at the past 30 days, rapid fire in 15 minutes, holy crap. Now I get it. Major change on my big why. It's a lot more clear now. Where it stood up to me that I really care about creating content. And I love this art. It's making my life better in so many ways. But I didn't fully appreciate it until this monthly review of how important to me just entrepreneurship itself is. You know, like I want to like have a way to make money and everything, but if I was just doing the exact same amount of income and living the exact same life, it's like having those skills that you can create a job, create product, create something of value instead of having to go to other people and say, please allow me to join you and be paid for it. And if for whatever reason I became the wrong demographic or the wrong political climate, or I live in the wrong part of the world suddenly, like I'm never allowed to do that again. Like to never have that again, where you can create that. That is a massively important thing to me that I didn't fully realize how important it was.
It's a wonderful, wonderful experience and drive that you have. Again, I look forward so much to seeing where everything takes you and how this journey goes for you, because I know you're going to see it through.
I'm not going to stop.
Never.
And coming back to like the one who wins is the one who just kept going the longest. Doing this monthly review and really, really helps with your longevity.
It's reinforcing your importance in it, your beliefs in it. I can tell that that's absolutely helpful.
It's refining it too, because what the right thing for me to do like has changed. Like learning all these things, like I've changed. I'm a different person. So if I just kept sticking with the same goal, the same big why, eventually they wouldn't match up and then I would stop doing it. But doing this every month, like, oh, I need to tweak a little bit. You know, surprising to me, I actually need to raise the value of how much I'm aiming at entrepreneurship. It's not the sexy art part. Turns out that's bigger to me than I thought. Keeping that aligned up every month, I think it's going to give me more fuel. Because like I was like going through like, this is weird, but I'm so freaking excited. It's like the beginning of a video game where you're choosing your character. Like, which person do I get to kick ass as in June? Like,
hell yeah.
You're like that thing. I want everyone to have that. So
I like that.
It doesn't sound glamorous. It will feel glamorous. I recommend
start
it.
Doing it then.
Attached to that, there was like a little organization thing that I did that turned out to look really cool. I'll show you that after the line. It's a lot easier, but let me show you it before you leave.
Absolutely.
Okay, last one. Question time.
Question for this, but I can think of one.
So I'm thinking really a whole lot about writing lately. And I'm glad I took all this time before I got to ask these questions, because I can actually ask better questions now. We mentioned that I was looking at watching other videos and other movies and other things, that I no longer feel that the plot and the words are the only thing that matters. That it is really possible to like have, you know, just the visual or just the art or something. Because the whole point is trying to get to the emotion. You know, we're trying to create an emotion, and we have this emotion as paintbrushes. You're not like you making a movie, okay, happy, we painted that. No, you like the cleverness of a work of art or a movie or a content is that you use in succession the different emotions you painted with. So I'm getting more curious now about how somebody's authoring, their writing skill, that itself could be creating the emotion where you go, yeah, that book didn't make a whole lot of sense, or that wasn't even a topic I'm interested in, but good Lord, that writer just writes so freaking well that I liked it.
Jack Kerouac.
Tell me about it.
I cannot tell you that I've sat down and read any of his books. I've only read passages of it because it's just not something that's fully interested me enough to sit down and read them. But my God, his writing style is so distinctive that absolutely that is something that I am envious of. I respect him for it.
I want us to put that on the list where we break down some of this stuff sometime, like a passage, and you can talk about what it makes you feel. Maybe we can look into like how he accomplishes that. I studied formally like what his writing style is and how. I never got anything out of it. So you could be the translator that shows me what is happening there.
For some reason in my head, the closest example of writing style like his that I actually sit down and love and will absolutely enjoy is Anthony Bourdain. I absolutely love his old travel shows.
Yeah.
And you can tell distinctively, I think he does such a great job of being there in the moment, getting recorded, doing improvisational things, and then we'll cut to this beautiful B-roll, and it has his writing style that's talking about how insane things are and just weird metaphors, and it's very much the similar writing style in my mind to what Jack Kerouac does.
Interesting.
But it's in smaller doses to where the average person can consume it and enjoy it.
That's going to be a perfect bridge because Bourdain hooks me really well.
I want to start doing more media like that, I realized, where I can still write scripts and have it be what I want and be proud of it, but I can also bridge that into the more just go out there, have experiences that people love. I can kind of copy that format, and I think that's the way that I'm really going to enjoy it.
I'm actually full on board that when you get to like the intermediate stage, which I think we're probably at right now, being able to recognize who is a right person for you to start learning from is the thing to do, you know? And I have given speeches about how much I hate cooking and talking about cooking, and I think it's offensive and shows a character flaw in his stuff. I'm like, this is gripping and fascinating, and I feel like I'm a better person for having watched it.
Oh, absolutely. He dives into the culture of it. It's not just the food, but even that takeaway, just look at like the B-roll where he's talking about it at the end of the episode, and he almost always references his times using drugs when he was a line cook and the crazy experiences there. He always relates it to some wild thing like that. And part of me is always a little worried of, well, do I need to go out and start trying like heroin in the back alley of the dive-in? No, probably not. But I mean, you look at a lot of those authors who have that wild style to them. Mm-hmm. That's what they did. That's just part of their personality. Hopefully I can figure out how to do that without having to...
Alcohol works.
Well, I hope that won't. I'm going to try, and I'm going to stick to it, and you can let me know if I succeed or not.
Yeah, I think we can.
I think it can be done. If not, I'll have to find a different writing style to emulate.
Yeah. You know, and while on topic of emulation, just one last bullet point in it. I love the phrase, find people that you like feel something for and imitate them as much as you possibly can with no worry. Because you're coming from a different direction. It's impossible for you to not change it to be something different.
I like that. The other thing that worries me so much about picking out one person and saying I want to be like that is, I think it was Penn from Penn and Teller who said, or no, it must have been Teller, I think. I don't know if he said it or if wrote it down because he's the famous one for not talking during their performances.
Yes.
I believe it was him, and he said that do not try and just imitate someone if you're going on stage writing anything, because at best you will be a pale imitation of them. Yeah,
but that is if you were trying to be them. But if you try to imitate everyone because you're trying to just be the person that you, the writer that you want to be, it's just another palette, like color in your palette.
That's true.
Like in the real world, you're taking all these other influences. You probably find like, well, my second favorite's this, and you imitate some of him, and then you can make this magical mix of things that has never existed before in the world. But even if you only focus on one person like crazy, you're not coming from like, I want to have this guy's career. I want to take his job. I want to be on his show.
You're like, don't get me wrong. I'd love to do that.
But if your goal is, I want to just have all the ability he has so I could do it for talking about whiskey, already you're doing something.
That's true. I appreciate you helping put that back into perspective for me.
All right. Do you want to... If you don't, we can just wrap up.
Yeah, let's wrap up. I don't have a good one right now, and it's not going to count to me. I've been drinking too much over the past week.
No, this has been a good one. I like this. It's good talking to you in person again.
Good to be next to you.
Next time, I'm going to have a breakdown of one of your whiskey spirit of scripts and we're going to analyze it, discuss it, and we're start learning a little bit of like Ryan's writing style, and have a little back and forth about this. I think writing is something that we should take a specific focus on for an episode.
I'm looking forward to you ripping through one of my precious works and telling me what I should have done wrong or
Oh my god,
done better on. I want to hear that too, not just what I did right. What I did right isn't interesting to me. I want to hear what I need to improve.
Now I feel like I've been dared. I didn't have that on my radar. Will do.
Well, until next time then.